the arena project, the convention center, the conference center, the event center, whatever you want to call it. It's the hot topic in Racine right now, and there's a lot of confusing dialogue going on. What's happening right now is the City Council has approved a $600,000 investment in a feasibility study, and they keep saying that's not taxpayer money. Technically, that's true, but it comes from the taxpayers, and we'll explain that later on. Right now, what we're going to comment on with a little clip here is, a lot of people are requesting a referendum. They'd like to say, we want a voice in this issue. There's a potential of spending anywhere from $50 to $100 million on this project, seriously. And people want to have a referendum. So let's take a look at what kind of a reception the idea of a referendum gets in this community.
Widener, who is your question of?
I have a question for the city clerk's office. If this item is to go to referendum, what date will we have to vote on that?
That's not a germane question. That's not a part of this conversation.
It is a
We
part.
we have no other speakers before us. Please vote electronically. No, not a point of order, Alderman Widener. You were supposed to ask a question, something germane to this topic. It's not germane to this topic. A referendum is not germane to the topic. Therefore, it's not. You can ask the city clerk that item, and we'll get that item to all the aldermen tomorrow morning as soon as possible. It's not germane to the topic. The vote is before you. Please vote electronically. Thank you, Alderman. We already had your question. Thank you. Please vote electronically. Alderman Widener, you're out of order. Alderman Arnold, you're out of order, so Alderman Widener, why don't you please vote electronically, and it is before you.
Well, here we are with Talking Racine, and wasn't that quite a clip? Tonight we have, I always feel funny about saying tonight, and these things come out in the morning. So good morning, good evening, whatever the heck you're doing at the time. Producer Jim Spodek, George Meyer, Racine Taxpayers Association.
I'll go with
Get
that.
a little credential there. And I'm Dr. Ken Jorgen. And we're going to discuss the arena project, the downtown development that's being touted by the people down at City Hall as the saving grace of Racine, Wisconsin. And who wants to open it up here tonight? We saw the clip and how Sandy Widener was treated when she wanted to bring the voice of the taxpayers into the discussion. Anybody?
Well, you know what? On the fact sheet that the city put out, I think on one of the questions was, if you don't mind,
No, go ahead.
Look at it. It said, would there be a referendum, or would there be a non-binding or a binding referendum? And their answer to that question was, we are currently developing the community outreach process, which would include meetings to discuss the results of Phase 1, which was just passed, and we value and encourage citizen inputs and recognize that the decision to proceed with the project lies with the City Redevelopment Authority and the Common Council.
Now, that's interesting.
I'd like to get into that a little bit.
Yeah, and they're talking about getting citizen input after Phase 1.
Right.
Phase 1 is a $600,000 project, and basically what they're going to do is develop a sales pitch. So that's when the public discussion comes in, when we got something to really show you that looks great.
Well, that's right. And these studies are not to determine whether or not it should be done. They are more of a study of how it can be done, and everything will be saying yes, yes,
Right.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's
600,000, $3.5 million, and then the big whopper, 50 million.
50 million.
Yeah.
They're all going to be yes.
Yeah.
And the only thing that's going to say no is the pocketbook. And hopefully some aldermen will wise up long before that it's not going to. It's not something that the taxpayers can afford to pay for.
And they
It's
keep
not
throwing this illusion out there that it's not taxpayer money. Well, when they say it's not taxpayer money, they're talking about Phase 1. And when they talk about the actual project itself, they talk about private developers and bringing these people in to build a hotel, build an arena and so on, and some bonding. Well, the one consistent thing in the conversation is always the bonding. Now, they've been working for over a year to find private investors, and so far, this is how many they got. The bonding is the one consistent thing, and they say it's no taxpayer money, but that's BS. Because a bond is basically a mortgage on your house that you didn't sign. Because when the city is bonded, where do they get the money to pay that loan back, which is what a bond is? They get it from property taxes. And your property taxes are going to go up in order to pay for this. And if you don't pay your property taxes, guess what? Your house gets repossessed, much like a bank would repossess it if you were short on your banknote for a period of time. Am I wrong with that, guy?
No, that's right.
Yeah.
But the other thing I'd like to point out, even the $600,000 agreed, it is not money that's paid for by your property taxes, but you as a taxpayer are still paying for it, except it's instead of being through property taxes, it's through your water bill. And Racine and Mount Pleasant and Caledonia and Sturtevant, as well as Wind Point. I mean, there's several communities that are involved with this, and none of it is property tax money. It's all money the same taxpayers have paid for, not through their property taxes, but through their water bill. As far as I'm concerned, they're still taxpayers.
Yeah.
All right, it's more of a user fee. So when you hear some of these comments saying it's not taxpayer money, it is taxpayers' money. It's just not taxpayers' money from the property taxes. It is taxpayer money though from your water bill.
The other thing I want to put out is, and Sandy Widener brings it up in his clip, and says, in 2 weeks we've got a project dropped in front of us, and in a week we're going to drop $600,000. And someone said, let's take our time a little bit. Now here's where I'm pointing out. We've had John Dickert as mayor, John Dickert developer mayor. He wants to develop all these projects. Well, none of these projects ever come to completion. They're usually been a financial disaster on almost every one of them. He's unable to bring in private investors. By not bringing in those private investors, now he's coming to the taxpayer, because I know I can get the money out of the taxpayer to do this great development. This is not for citizens. This is not for taxpayers to be a developer. We're here to plow the roads, pick up the garbage, do what cities do. So.
Absolutely. Another thing that keeps coming up is that this money is perfect for this kind of a project, or this kind of project is perfect for the money that we have available in this intergovernmental fund. Some citizens stood up the other night and they talked about, what about the potholes? What about the fact that you've been shutting out street lights? What about this? What about that? What about community centers? And they said, no, none of those things are really appropriate. I mean, it's designed in the agreement, the original agreement. And funny thing, you get what projects have been funded with the Intergovernmental Shared Revenue Fund in history, and some of the things are road construction projects. Chicory Road, Oaks Road, 3 Mile Road, and now all of a sudden roads and cities are not appropriate. And Arena is perfect.
Right. We talk about items for the city, what'd you call them, street lights, community centers. That money can be used for that. Those are items.
I think you have the language from the original agreement there, don't you?
Yes. This is from the original agreement.
Now listen to this.
Revenue sharing income that goes to Racine will allow the city to maintain social welfare programs, rebuild infrastructure, and restore brownfield sites.
So we took off your street lights.
Yeah.
Street lights would fall under that.
You could throw almost anything under social welfare program. That's like anything.
We can't. And how many times have we heard it on that we can't do street lights, we can't do roads, we can't. You can do anything you want with that money.
I think roads are part of infrastructure, aren't they? Good grief!
All right, you guys want to start?
Yeah,
let's take this.
Okay.
We'll be here all day. Okay, let's rock.
We're going to get as boring as a city council if we're not careful.
186-17 is requested by the Executive Director of the Redevelopment Authority.
Now, this is from which meeting?
This is the March 7th, 2017. This is where they approved $600,000.
This is a $600,000 first step, phase one.
By the Executive Director of the Redevelopment Authority for funding activities related to phase one of the Downtown Hotel Event Center project at a cost not to exceed $600,000. Recommendation of the Committee of the Whole is that it be approved. Fiscal note funds are available in the Intergovernmental Revenue Sharing Fund. Move to approve the motion.
Motion and second. Discussion of the motion. Alderman Widener.
Thank you. I'm going to speak against supporting this recommendation from the Committee of the Whole, and I have several reasons why. First and foremost is over the last couple of years, and increasingly more so over the last couple of months, I have seen the authority and the relevance of this council being diminished. And the action that we're about to take tonight is really going to put a dagger into what this council really is. And what I mean by that is it has always been for this council to vote on a recommendation from the Redevelopment Authority. As a matter of fact, I went back to the council meeting from 2014 when the Redevelopment Authority made a recommendation to this council to support Machinery Row. We voted on that. So a week ago, when we had a Committee of the Whole / Redevelopment Authority meeting, the city attorney said that the Redevelopment Authority no longer has to send a recommendation to this council for us to vote on. That has given unprecedented authority to the Redevelopment Authority. What it says to this council is any development activity that the administration wants to undertake, they don't have to come to the elected body. They get to go to the appointed body, which is the Redevelopment Authority.
This redevelopment authority is a private organization. And
Separate
it's-
tax key ID number.
Yeah, and it's comprised of people who were appointed by the mayor, not elected in any way by the citizens of Racine.
And typically, they would hold a meeting, and then they would discuss the issue.
Mm-hmm.
And then the results of that meeting would be sent to the Common Council to reconsider and look at and approve or disapprove. And this one, they sat in a joint meeting and made the approval, and where did it go?
Yeah, and now the proposal is, we don't have to come to the city council anymore. We just want to have control of this money. A private corporation having control of millions of dollars.
Right. And I think it goes in a little further, and they talk about, they don't have enough money to complete this arena, but they've already blown $20 million. That redevelopment.
Yeah,
and I don't know where that money's. It's where we own Machinery Row, where we own empty
Well,
buildings.
some of it has gone into these other projects that we've got listed here.
Well, I'd
But
like to go down that
They
list
burned
someday.
through about
Yeah.
close to $20 million.
Yeah.
But they do have money to spend, and apparently it's this redevelopment intergovernmental fund. There's
Right.
two intergovernmental funds. Be careful if you're looking at the budget. There's a great big one that's 41% of our total budget,
Right.
but that's coming from the federal government and the state. Then there's a little intergovernmental fund, and that's this one here that's coming from the surrounding communities. So that's the one that's going into this redevelopment authority, and that's the one that they're claiming to have a say-so over. They're the ones that recommended and are spending the $600,000. The
Yeah.
council is not spending it, and they'll
Right.
tell you. That now the council is still approving it. I think if the council disapproved it, they wouldn't have been able to spend it.
Yeah, and
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
well,
She
that-
just said. I mean, I don't think so.
it would be,
They've got the money. They own that money. We don't own it. Taxpayers don't own that money.
Okay,
They want to
well,
talk
we-
like they own it.
We
but
never tested it. The council didn't
They
take a
haven't
chance
pushed
to test it and see if
button.
they said,
See, but they operate with this. let's all work together.
yeah, let's all
Let's
get
all
along.
work together because I got the money. But
Can't we all get along?
Yeah.
Let's get.
Voting for the recommendation of the Common Council, the Committee of the Whole, to fund Phase 1 of the arena would just support that argument that this council no longer has the authority to vote on any kind of redevelopment, that would authority and responsibility would rest solely on an unelected body.
"Put the."
And we cannot allow that to happen.
Now she's agreeing with what you said. In
Right.
other words, the council's vote was kind of just a like a referendum or advisory
Yeah,
thing.
advisory vote.
But the
But that's who
600,000.
we elected.
Yeah, the 600,000 was from this intergovernmental fund, and according to what Sandy said, and that or Alderman Widener said that's the.
And we had a episode a couple back that talked about who's on that redevelopment authority, and we haven't even got a chance to get back to that and kind of break down
Yeah,
some of
we
the other
want
ones.
to outline who is actually
Right,
on there and
and
how
Doug
they got there.
Nicholson, and he's got a downtown business, and he's on the redevelopment authority plus the ethics. But this very, we're going to pinpoint it, and we're going to be in full control of that money. So it's kind of like the tail wagging the dog.
Another reason I'm going to vote against the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole to fund this is I have not heard from one person that lives in the 6th District supporting this. As a matter of fact, what is said to me, if you take this step and fund phase 1, there will be no turning back. They do not have confidence that the majority of this Common Council will vote against phase 2, no matter what the numbers come back to be. The numbers can come back and say it's going to cost $30 million to remediate the soil in order to put an arena and a hotel on that site. And this council, a majority of this council is going to vote for it. A vote for this phase 1, we're going to be in it to the end.
This is what I said in the introduction to this. This study is not a study of whether or not it can be done. This is going to be a study that is a sales pitch to spend the next $3.5 million, and that's
This is tipping the wagon, and the apples are going to roll.
Yeah, that's what her constituents are concerned about, and that's the truth. Apparently, more people than just us realize that. These studies aren't really studies. They're sales pitches. They're what's going to be the next PowerPoint presentation to try and push the council to spend the money. That's the way they work, and that's not just us. This is throughout the country. That's all communities.
Well, that's one of the reasons for the existence of this show, is because we have this opinion, and we know that many of you out there have this opinion, but you might be sitting in your living room thinking, geez, am I the only guy that thinks this is a dumb idea? Well, you're not.
No, and her, Alderman just said that.
Right.
Her constituents are calling up, we're concerned that if you spend this, you're going to spend the next one too.
Right.
And
It's just a downhill.
they are absolutely right.
There is no confidence in this administration to work with the other public sector bodies in order to get this to take place. There was a hotel investor ready to build a hotel. That's gone. Now we have to actually pay somebody to find what already existed because of a lack of faith in this administration.
There was someone that was working with the city for like 2 years, cost the city nothing, and they're willing to look into this hotel. Conley brings in from Tinley Park. Check Tinley Park. I'll go on YouTube. Check Tinley Park and Amy Conley. And she brings in S.B. Friedman. Friedman comes out with other selections of different people, and the one that was down here working on the project is tossed to the side, SBC or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's again, we're gonna cronyisms coming in here.
We have had a reputation of not finishing what we start. In the fall of 2014, we, the council, voted on a recommendation from the Redevelopment Authority to buy private property on Mound Avenue to build a bike trail. That still has not happened. 2 months later, the council again voted on a recommendation from the Redevelopment Authority to not only loan $4.5 million to FDP LLC, but also to spend another $1.8 million buying 2 buildings that FDP LLC did not want to buy. We don't know what is going to happen with Machinery Row, yet we are willing to gamble another $600,000 on this arena and have faith in each other that we would actually stop after phase 1 if the numbers come back where we find out that in order for this project to move forward, we are going to have to bond for between $40 and $50 million to put up that structure.
This is a very interesting observation, because one of the criteria for the $600,000 was, how is the intergovernmental fund doing? And remember, it came back, it's healthy.
Right, also it's a miracle.
Let's kill it.
This council, I mean, this redevelopment fund, they're like kids in a candy shop with a nickel in their pocket. If the money's there, they got to spend it.
Right.
I remember when I was a little kid. This is an actual story. I remember this kid had a very distressed look on his face. He pulls out. He says, "George, I got this quarter still. and I need to spend it. I mean, he was really very concerned that his money was in his pocket and there was candy over at that store that he should be spending it on. And when I hear this, I think of that kid.
Was he asking for your help in getting rid of that
he
quarter?
was genuinely worried. He
That's
says,
what we
I got
got.
this quarter. What am I?
Yeah, we got this money. It keeps coming, too.
I'm sitting out here and I'm not in a candy store.
Puts me in mind of that Willie Nelson song. It's only money.
Yeah.
It'll go away.
Yeah. As long as there's money in that fund, it's going to get spent, and that's
Right.
the main thing with this $600,000.
See, if there was
the money's there.
if there was no money there, redevelopment authority wouldn't be there, and they would have to go to the Common Council, and they would have to make this decision among themselves, which is the way it's supposed to operate.
Right.
This subverting it to this redevelopment authority, and then backdooring it the project in.
But the other result is why these have all these unfinished projects.
Right.
Because we don't need to finish. We still got money here. Let's spend it. We'll
Right.
worry about finishing
We'll find
that
this one.
later.
We'll go uptown. We'll go. I think somebody actually brings that up.
It's time for us to stop and evaluate where we're at. Let one of the projects that we started come to fruition before we grasp at another. I'm not saying that building an event center is a bad idea. It's just a bad time to do it. So I'm hoping that a majority of this council will take a step back, take a breath, and allow more than 1 week in between first being formally introduced the whole idea of this event center, and a week later taking a vote on spending $600,000 to get information that was already provided. And the last thing I'm going to say, actually two things. There is a process that should have and could have been used in this whole development. If the director of city development is correct, that the DNR has said, yes, you can go forward, before we start phase one, we should have what the funding options are before we go to phase one, not during phase one or after phase one. We should know if there are any private partners out there or any public partners willing to take on this debt risk with us, the city of Racine taxpayers.
That could be a very expensive project. It costs what, $20 million to fix it the first time?
Yeah.
It was
Right.
a lot of money to cover that lot. It's a great big 20 feet.
Yeah, that was
deep.
just to cover the problem.
Yeah,
Right.
That just and then they put a cap over it,
On the
a
land.
blacktop, yeah,
Right.
and that's where it sits right now. Now the thing is that, and this is really interesting because it would have been very easy just to go ahead and get that study first, see what it's going to be. If it's going to be $1 million, fine. It's going to be $20 million, so we should know about it first. And you don't have to spend $600,000 to do that. Later on in the discussion, you're going to hear that, well, that's going to be one of the things that comes out in this $600,000 feasibility study. Yeah, but when it's something this critical, why not do that first and spend $10,000 or whatever it would be to get that? And then, if that's okay, consider the $600. That was...
The last thing I'm going to talk about is juju, bad juju, that is surrounding this project. ICC, who had worked with this mayor for 2 years without asking for a dime from this city, took 21 trips into Racine and provided all the information that we now have paid SB Friedman to provide to this council. He's been kicked to the curb like he gave nothing. We're just going to go ahead and fund the most expensive, because a very highly paid attorney's firm, 2 attorneys firms out of Milwaukee, that were paid with money that we did not agree to pay. There was $120,000 spent through December 31st of 2016 that nobody in the RDA, nobody on the city council was aware that the administration was spending on Meisner, Tierney, Fisher, and Nichols, or Mallory and Zimmerman, or for, as a matter of fact, not even for SB Friedman. Nobody knew.
It's a precursor to the $600,000.
Right.
The Redevelopment Authority was spending over $100,000 of money that we're still not sure where it came from, whether it came from an intergovernmental fund or came from a legal fund that the mayor didn't get sued enough times or something, so they had some money left over. I'm not just sure, but we're not sure where it came from. But the point is, there was $100,000 spent of your money and our money, taxpayers' money, to bring this dog and pony show that came up a couple weeks ago, of very expensive people, $375 an hour people, to come in and sell the council on the $600,000. So you can see the progression. It's $120,000 in order to spend $600,000, which will be encouraged spending $3.5 million, which will try and sell the ultimate $50 million.
Right.
It's a gradient scale.
They just went ahead and spent the money. We need to step back. And we need to do this. If it's a good project, it can stand up to a little patience and a little more vetting before we move forward on this. I'm hoping that we will vote against the recommendation of the development team in proceeding with the recommendation that came from the RDA. Thank you.
That was a good idea, but Sandy, Alderman Widener was up against the wall on this one.
Oh, yeah.
They are pushing so hard on this, and they apparently this surprise factor is really working well because the council is going right along with it.
Yeah.
But they're pushing so fast on this that they're holding a joint meeting of the redevelopment authority with the council. In the background behind her, you can't see them, but they're sitting back there. They're actually holding a meeting now at the same time because they don't want to take that extra week or two to go through the process.
Get that baby through.
We're doing them both at the same time, vote at the same time.
And that's the mayor doing that.
And it's
That's
an
some precedent.
intimidation factor too
Absolutely.
to have the freedmen and those people sitting in the council while their services are being discussed. You know, I mean, you got these guys in suits, and you're supposed to have an objective conversation about that guy across the room
Right,
there. And
right.
Yeah, there is a little intimidation
There's
involved.
absolutely intimidation. And we want to do the right thing. It's a beautiful project, and we're sold. We're constantly sold.
People might ask, well, yeah, why not? Why not just spend a little more time and let's just look it over? They're not going to take that much long. Well, they don't really want to spend an extra week.
No, no.
To have separate meetings of
listen,
the thing. This is how hard the push is.
Right. Well, when you're doing a hard sell, when you're a car salesman, or nobody leaves that lot, nobody leaves that nobody's leaving.
What do I have to do to get you to drive out of there
Absolutely.
lot with that car today?
And that's what they're pulling. This is no different than some charlatan rolling into town and rides Machinery Row.
If you don't buy it today, somebody's going to come in tomorrow and buy it. And I know you want
Fear
that
of
car.
loss, and we got to do it. Now the intimidation. There you go.
To speak against the motion to approve, primarily because I think it's what my constituents have asked me to do.
What? Constituents ask her to vote against it, and she does?
I've recently had the opportunity to spend a great deal of time sitting over cups of coffee with constituents in their living room discussing issues that are important to them. I'm sure my 14 colleagues have had many similar conversations. And my constituents on the north side are not so different than theirs. And while there's some interest in the potential of an arena or an event center, primarily for community benefit or enlivening the downtown, I can say that about 80% of those who I've spoken to have concerns about the arena. I return to their stories and concerns frequently when I'm asked to vote because I believe I'm elected to represent their voices. If the study does pass, I hope it's enlightening, but for now I'm unable to support funding this as I believe that that's what my constituents in the district have asked me to do.
Alderman Shields.
Mr. Mayor, council members, and all the people who spoke for or against the arena, I wholeheartedly believe that all of us would like to see this city develop in one way or the other. But I think development starts on a smaller level. With the IG money, if we start building West Racine, Uptown, Downtown, Douglas Avenue, and putting some of that IG money into buildings that exist within our own factories, you're building from the ground up. You know, I was here when the marina was built. Yes, there was controversy then, but the economy was different, people was working, and they had jobs. Yes, no one wanted their tax to be increased, but that was a natural. Being around water, making slips and things that go with water, it's a natural. So we paid off from that dividend. Sometimes we have to take our tiny steps. There's no rush to this. You know, we do not know all the facts. The Alderman of the 6th District expressed those things that we should be aware of. And we should take our time because it's like gambling. It's like going to Las Vegas and throwing the dice and say, what we going to come with? Or jumping into a pond or a river and say, how deep is the water? I didn't know it was this deep. We need to vet ourselves because we are the stewards for the people we represent, and we need to do that faithfully and intelligently. Yes, the mayor has vision, and I support him for things that he sees, but it's not the right time. I will introduce a resolution for a referendum if needed be. I have no problem. The people have spoke. It's not the right time or the right place to do any growth of that size. Thank you.
Alderman Weiser.